Well, welcome everyone. It is 3 o'clock on the East Coast, so we're going to get started right on time. My name is John Brenneman, and I'm the president here at MOAA Vacations. And on behalf of myself, everyone at MOAA Vacations, MOAA, and Uniworld River Cruises want to thank everyone for joining us today. This is our third in a series of 4 signature group webinars. We have previously done one for our July 2021 Mississippi River Cruise from Memphis to New Orleans, and we've done one for our European Holiday Markets Cruise, which is also on Uniworld, in December of this year. Both of those are available if you'd like to see them, if you missed them the first time around, on our website. And then in a couple of weeks, we have another one coming up, which is for our June 2022 Douro River Cruise with Portugal and Spain. So hopefully you can join us in a couple of weeks as well. I know everyone here today is talking about Holland and Belgium, so we'll get started on that in just a second. Before we get started, I did have a little housekeeping that I wanted to take care of. First off, when you decide that you'd like to join this cruise, we ask that everyone send us an online booking form. About 15 minutes ago, everyone should have received one via email. We'll also post it in the comments section or the questions section on this webinar, so you can click on that. By having everyone fill out the booking form, we are able to date and timestamp those. This is a very limited availability cruise, so that way we can set an order. We contact people in the order that they sign up. Allows the people that sign up earlier to have a priority choice in the cabin that they would like. Our presentation today is going to be in 4 parts. We are going to start out. Ashley is going to talk to us about Uniworld, for those who are unfamiliar with that river cruise company. After that, Ashley and myself are going to take you on a cruise from Antwerp to Amsterdam as we go port by port, and let you know a little bit about that port, and more importantly, what those excursions will be while we're in those ports. After that, we're going to talk about the ship that we'll be sailing on. We hope you join us on the River Duchess. And then finally, we're going to open it up to Q&A. If anybody has any questions during the presentation, you're more than welcome to ask them in the chat. Mike Tyrell, who's the vice president here at MOAA Vacations, is online, and will be answering those during the presentation. And then anything he can't answer or that we think might be of general interest, we will save to the end, and Ashley and I will go through and answer all the questions that you might have. We have over 180 people that registered for today's webinar. I know a lot of you are familiar with the term signature trip or signature group, but for those who are not, I just wanted to take a second and just go through kind of what makes this and the other signature groups different than our standard groups. And the first, which is probably, in my opinion, the most important, is the signature groups are escorted by both MOAA leadership and MOAA staff. So you have the added benefit of having MOAA personnel on board to ensure that everything goes off seamlessly and everyone has a wonderful time. We also have exclusive events on board for the MOAA signatures. This particular cruise, we have both a welcome reception and a farewell reception, as well as a special excursion, which I'll talk about a little bit later. The other component of the MOAA signature groups is that they are exclusive departures. And that, by that I mean is everyone who will be on this cruise will either be a MOAA member or a guest of MOAA members. MOAA members are invited to bring friends and family along on signature groups. In fact, you can bring friends and family along any group or any trip that you set up. The MOAA member needs to go, but as long as you are going, you can bring along whoever you'd like. The industry term when we talk about an exclusive cruise departure is a charter. So in effect, what we do is we charter the entire ship. And this gives us control of the ship. So basically, we have control of everything that happens on board. So on this particular sailing and the other signature groups we've talked about, is everyone on that ship will either be MOAA leadership, MOAA staff, MOAA member, or friends and family of a MOAA member. I mentioned the other ones we have, the signature groups. So we have the Mississippi River in July and the holiday markets in December of this year. Next year we have the Tulip Time cruise we're about to talk about, and then Port. We actually have 3 next year. We typically only have 2 available. The third one's actually a tour of Germany. We are in Munich for Oktoberfest, and then we are in Oberammergau for the Passion Play. And obviously charter a ship for a tour, but they are chartered buses, so everyone on the bus is a member of our group. And then as much as possible, we keep the group together, so we eat at the same restaurants, we stay at the same hotels. We have a group block of tickets at the Passion Play in Oberammergau. So as closely as possible, even the tours, we try to have that kind of exclusive group charter aspect of it. And it's unbelievable how much it's going to add to your enjoyment of this trip, of the camaraderie of traveling with just fellow members. So let's go ahead and get started. I'd like to introduce Ashley Zalabar, who is the Strategic Account Manager at Uniworld. Uniworld is one of 5 companies that make up the Velvet Collection. Just kind of explain why she has the title she does. So Ashley, let's get started.
Thank you so much, John. I'm super excited today to chat with all of you about the Tulips and Windmills itinerary throughout Holland and Belgium. And I know many of you that are here on today's webinar are familiar with Uniworld. You have joined a MOAA signature cruise on board a Uniworld cruise previously, but should anyone joining today's webinar not be familiar with the Uniworld product, I'd like to let everybody know a little bit about us. We do firmly believe at Uniworld that we are the world's best and only luxury boutique river cruise line that is out there, that's all inclusive. And by what I mean by that is that all inclusive is quite a hot button phrase in this day and age, and we will go through the inclusions of this particular itinerary in just a few moments. But just to give y'all a little bit of an overview, I'm talking gratuities, I'm talking excursions, I'm talking beer, wine, spirits, coffee, tea, soda, all of your meals. You've got a hotel manager, you've got your cruise director, and of course the full support of the MOAA family. In addition to that, we have a choice of carefully curated experiences. And what this means is that we typically have 2 excursions a day. Now that's quite different from a typical river cruise in which you may only get 1 included excursion today. And several of these excursions are what we call exclusive experiences. And I know John's going to tell you a little bit more about those as we go along. Delicious farm-to-table cuisine is always present on board any Uniworld river cruise ship, complete with locally sourced ingredients delivered almost daily by local farmers markets and other artisans. We're very well known for our outstanding service, and we have the mantra on board that there is no request too large and no detail too small. But if you were to ask me if I only had 10 seconds to tell you what truly sets apart from the other river cruise lines out there, I would say it is our one-of-a-kind award-winning ships. These ships are each decorated and designed to really match the destinations at which they're visiting. Some even have over $1 million in original artwork on board. In addition to those original artwork pieces, we also have antiques that have been curated and procured from design houses and different auction houses like Christie's worldwide. So that's just a little bit about the brand itself. I know that today's cruise is a floral theme, and so when John and I were chatting about today's presentation a couple days ago, we thought it might be fun to begin with a video in which we could talk about the flowers. So both of us are going to go off camera for just a couple minutes while the video plays. We will be back with you once the video concludes, and you might see the MOAA logo come up on your screen with a white background, and that's entirely normal, but don't you worry, we will be back with you once the video commences.
One of the first things I noticed on our cruise, the flowers, especially the orchids. They were beautiful and they were everywhere. You step on board and everything's so alive, so elegant. Uniworld has mastered the art of bringing the destination experience on the ship in the most impressive of ways. Sometimes you just need to relax and smell the flowers.
I love that video, and I hope all of you enjoyed it as well. Now that we're done smelling the flowers, I thought we would begin and talk a little bit about who may enjoy this cruise. Now, if you're the type of person who is into history and you really enjoy stepping back in time, visiting historic villages, medieval city centers, and even 20th century battlefields, you will just be very at home on this itinerary. Also, if you're an art lover, not only are you going to see original works of art on board the cruise ship with Uniworld, but you'll also be taken to several hot spots where you can view works of art that have been treasured by Van Gogh and other masters throughout this itinerary. And even if you're a horticulturalist and a gardening aficionado, you will also find a host of wonders with springtime blossoms, and even have some opportunities to purchase and ship home some tulip bulbs while you are cruising with us. So just kind of a little bit about who would like this cruise. As John mentioned, we are going to go through the itinerary day by day. So this is just an overview slide that shows you the map, kind of showing you which parts of the Rhine River we will be traversing throughout this itinerary. And just again, a brief overview of the ports that we will be stopping at. But don't worry, we will go in depth into each one of the days as we move along. But before we do that, let's take a look at what is included in this itinerary. We've got 9 nights that you'll be cruising in your Riverview stateroom on the Imperial River Duchess. 25 meals, that's 9 breakfasts, 7 lunches, and 9 dinners. 21 included excursions, including choice is yours options. And that means that there could be multiple excursions offered in the morning or even multiple in the afternoon, giving you a multitude of choices. And all of these excursions are fully hosted by our English-speaking local experts. We do have one private experience at the Hermitage Museum in Amsterdam that John will speak a little bit about in a short while, and visiting 4 UNESCO World Heritage Sites.
Thank you, Ashley. Hopefully everyone has a better feel for Uniworld and the boutique hotel experience they provide. More MOAA members select Uniworld for their river cruise than any other cruise line. It's the #1 choice of MOAA members, and the feedback we always get is outstanding. So let's take a look. Let's explore our itinerary, starting out in Antwerp. So in Antwerp, when you arrive in Brussels, if you do your own air, or if you do your own air, let us know your flight schedule, or if we book your air, we'll set up a transfer from Brussels to the ship in Antwerp. I'm sure a lot of you have cruised before, and your vacation starts with you sitting in a terminal waiting to board. That will not happen on this cruise. As soon as you get to the ship, you will be welcomed on board. They'll take your luggage, which they will keep until you see it in your cabin later that day, or shortly, depending on what time you board, and then they'll check you in. Once you're checked in, your vacation has begun. So if your stateroom's not available, let's say you do an overnight flight and you get there early in the morning, you're more than welcome to go to the lounge We'll talk about it a little bit later, but they do have an unlimited beverage package. As soon as you board the ship and check in, that begins. So you're more than welcome to go to the lounge, have a cocktail. They do have your luggage secured, so if you'd like to get off the ship and explore Antwerp, you're more than welcome to. We'll talk a lot about excursions, but they do have Nordic walking sticks and bikes available every day. So if you want to get off and take a bike ride, you're more than welcome to. Depending on what time you get there, if you're there in time, you can actually even have lunch on board when they serve lunch. So basically, just relax, have an enjoyable time. You're on vacation. Meet either myself or Mike. We'll be there to greet everyone when they board. And of course, MOAA staff will be on board. So it's an opportunity to start meeting people as soon as you board the ship. That evening, we do have our first exclusive event. It is the welcome cocktail party. So after you get in your room, you freshen up. We invite everyone to join us in the lounge, to do some quick introductions, and have a cocktail and relax and get ready for our first dinner on board the ship. The ship does overnight in Antwerp. So after dinner, you're invited to go back to the lounge, enjoy the entertainment, talk to friends new and old, or you can get off the ship and explore the city. So that's really day one. Hopefully you can gather kind of the theme of this whole thing is going to be is a relaxed and enjoyable vacation. So day two, you get up in the morning, you have breakfast at your leisure. I mentioned the unlimited beverage package. I know a lot of people like to have like a Bloody Mary in the morning for breakfast. Those are included. I know not all river cruises include alcohol all day. So anyway, after breakfast, we begin our excursions. A couple quick notes on the excursions before I turn it back over to Ashley. As she mentioned, all the excursions that we're going to talk about are included. For example, on today, you have a choice of two excursions. You have downtown or the Do As the Locals Do walking tour. Now, if you wanted to do both, if you do the walking tour in the morning, correct, you can do the city downtown highlights in the afternoon. There's a lot of information we're going to go through. So if you have any questions or concerns, or you can't remember what everything's included, please visit us at moavacations.com, where we have a website set up specifically for this cruise, which has all the information on it. If you click on the day-by-day link, you'll actually go and you'll see all the information we're going to go through, which includes not only the itinerary, but all the excursions that are included. So Ashley, you want to take us through the Antwerp excursions?
Yes, thank you, John. It may be the diamond capital of the world, but Antwerp is also known for a number of other sought-after cultural gems, including Golden Age art, waffles, fries, and Belgian beer. And I poured my water today in a Belgian beer mug that I got when I was in Belgium last time. So I thought you would get a kick out of that, John. But it is just water, folks. Still early here for us in the South. John is right. There are two excursions today that are listed on the slide that you're both seeing. And if you choose to go on the Do As the Locals Do Antwerp walking tour, you're going to see the Farmer's Tower, which is a building from the Art Deco era that many call the very first skyscraper that was ever erected in Europe. You're also going to see the Royal Palace, which is adorned with 33 million Swarovski crystals. So there's lots to see. You get to see also the main shopping street, where you'll discover a wonderful array of architectural styles there as well. You'll see a chocolate line as well. So lots to see and do. And again, if you chose to do the Antwerp walking tour in the morning, but you did not want to miss out on the downtown highlights, you could do the downtown highlights in the morning. But if the Antwerp walking tour doesn't sound like it's for you and you still want to get up and go in the morning, the downtown highlights also goes in the morning. The downtown highlights does go to the Cathedral of Our Lady, and it is a beautiful, beautiful facility. And a lot of folks love to go inside and really take a peek. But just know that if a religious service is occurring during our tour time, not go inside. We are prohibited from visiting inside of the Cathedral of Our Lady during religious services. But don't fret, you may return later to see this beautiful structure on your own. Just let your guide know that that is something you would like to do, and he or she will give you a complimentary ticket. And those are provided by Uniworld, and your guide will have those on hand. Getting into day 3, we have. Can you hear me?
Yes. Hey, we had a couple of people mention that they could not hear us talking. It seems like everyone else can. So if you're having, I guess if they're having trouble hearing me, they can't hear me right now. So maybe this didn't make sense. I was going to suggest they try turning up their speakers, but now that I think of it, we should just continue on. So.
Yes, we have been seeing your commentary there that you're having difficulty hearing. We've been checking in via text. You might have seen John and I look down with some folks we have that have joined the webinar, and they can hear us just fine. So could be an issue with your own personal computer or laptop, and we certainly apologize if you can't hear us. But as John mentioned earlier, the recording will be coming out, so you will have access to that to listen to at your leisure. When we begin day 3 in Ghent, you have the choice of 2 different excursions. We have a walking tour or a canal cruise. Now, John is sick of hearing this by now, but I love being on the water. I love being in any kind of boat I can get my hands on. I grew up on the West Coast, right near the ocean. So for me, I would be going on the canal cruise. And Bruges really gives Amsterdam a run for its money as the Venice of the North. Typically, you only see canal cruises in Amsterdam, but Bruges has them as well, and you cruise through the UNESCO designated city center of Bruges on this canal tour. The town grew up around a fort that was built by the first Count of Flanders as a defense against Viking invaders, and by the 14th century, Bruges had become the center of the international cloth trade. So there's a lot to be seen. If you take the canal cruise, you kind of get to go through Bruges, which is really nice. But if you chose instead to do the Ghent walking tour, and this morning it's either or, so you have to pick one. You can't do both on this particular morning. But if you choose the walking tour, you'll find out that completely banned in Ghent's historic city center. So it's a particularly pedestrian-friendly area. You'll get to stroll with your guide from the Church of St. James to the Friday Market Square, which, as the name suggests, was the site of a huge market every Friday back in the Middle Ages. So there's a lot to be seen, regardless of which you choose. But the favorite amongst the art aficionados would be that during the Ghent walking tour, you get to go to St. Balbo's Cathedral. And this cathedral has the Adoration of the Mystic Lamb. If you've not heard of this stunning piece of 15th century artwork, you might note that it consists of 24 different individual panels. This particular piece of art was made famous in pop culture. If you saw the George Clooney film, The Monuments Men, which recounts the most recent theft and recovery of this piece of art during World War II. This particular piece of art, again, it's called the Adoration of the Mystic Lamb, has been hailed as being perhaps the most thieved, the most stolen piece of artwork of all time. But just note that during 21 and 2022, the Adoration of the Mystic Lamb is undergoing restoration, and so not all of its panels may be on display the day that we visit. Day 4, our ship docks today in the quaint Zeeland village of Veer, which will be your base for explorations of this charming town and the mighty Delta Works, the largest flood protection system in the world. So today you have a choice. In the morning, you can choose to go on the Delta Works experience, or you can go on an oyster tasting. Now, I'm a foodie myself. I would be at that oyster tasting with bells on. You get to arrive at an oyster farm, disembark your motor coach, and you're followed by a guided tour of the farm. You get 3 oyster tastings, and also 1 beverage is included in that visit. The Delta Works experience, again, is going to be regarding flood works and dams. So you're going to be learning about lots of engineering feats and lots of fascinating insights about how the Dutch incorporate their dams. In the afternoon, we have one included excursion, which is a stroll into the artists' village of Veer. So Veer is a harbor village that is on the shores of the Western Scheldt, and it may be a small town now, but back in the 15th century, it was quite the grand village. The Scots maintained a community in Veer, complete with their own church and laws, until Napoleon took over the region and eliminated all of their privileges. So there's a lot to see, lots of rich history to learn about in the village of Veer. Day 5 is Rotterdam and the Kinderdijk Windmills. So this is a very interesting day that we have today. It's a very modern city, Rotterdam. Much of it was destroyed during the war. You've got the Maas Tower, the Montevideo, the Millennium Tower, the spectacular Erasmus Bridge makes for a very dazzling skyline. So you're going to feel for a moment that you've stepped into like the Manhattan of Western Europe. So here's what we can do today. If you are a foodie like myself, you will be very excited for the Dutch culinary stroll to the market hall in Rotterdam. It was built in 2014. Again, it's a very modern city, Rotterdam is, and it's known for its futuristic look and unique culinary offerings. In the market, you've got bars, you've got food stands to full service restaurants. So it's just one example of Rotterdam's captivating mix of 17th century canals, gabled facades, kind of quintessentially amidst the modern architecture of the day. And you do get to have some food samples and sample some of the local fare. And then in the afternoon, we've got the Windmills. If you have decided that you want to take this cruise because of the Kinderdijk Windmills, then you will be very, very excited about the afternoon's excursions. But if you're a little bit more active and you want to get out and get the blood pumping, you can still see the Windmills on a biking excursion. That is the Let's Go biking amidst the dams and windmills. But just note, if you do decide to ride the bikes this afternoon, you will not see the famed Kinderdijk windmills, but instead you'll see the windmills of Groetemeer and Streekvlak. Day 6, you've got your choice of excursions today, where in the morning you can do a visit to the Kröller-Müller Museum if you're an art aficionado, or there's another opportunity for some biking. So again, maybe you saw the Kinderdijk windmills yesterday and you did not do the biking. Maybe you wanted to do some biking today, and if so, feel free. But if you are interested in some history and some Van Gogh, then definitely choose the museum visit. The Kröller-Müller Museum has a lot of Van Goghs. You get to see the bridge at Arles, which is one of the most famous paintings that is located there. Her goal, Kröller-Müller, her name was Helene Kröller-Müller. Her goal wasn't just to have the most Van Goghs in the area, but she was just very much devoted to modern art. So her collection also includes Picasso, Piet Mondrian, Auguste Rodin, amongst many other late 19th and 20th century artists. So you're going to see a lot. It's not just Van Gogh. There's quite a bit more. Day 7, we've got several different excursions for you. In the morning, we have the Dutch maritime traditions. And this is a real fun one, and I'll tell you why in a minute. Or in the afternoon, you can choose the horn walking tour, or an experience on the cheese trail. So going back to the Dutch maritime traditions of the Zuiderzee, this is a real fun excursion in my opinion, because you get to see a true, authentic 19th century Dutch village. So it truly feels as though you've left the 21st century and you have entered an extraordinarily charming village, whereas women in period costume, they've got the pointed caps, they're wearing the wooden clogs, you get to see them do needlework, they've got children running around also in period costume, playing with hoops and other toys from the day, and you see men make authentic rope by hand and also making authentic wooden barrels by hand. We take you to a smokehouse where you can see herring being preserved. We take you over to the cheesemaker. So it's a lot of fun. And the city of Hoorn was once a base for the East India Trading Company. So it's a lot of fun. And this is the only excursion on the morning of day 7. Now in the afternoon, I mentioned that there's 2 choices. You've got your walking tour or a Make Travel Matter experience. So I just wanted to kind of stop for 1 second and talk, what is that? What is Make Travel Matter experience? Well, here at UniWorld, we really do support sustainable tourism, and we have really doubled down on our efforts to offer our guests opportunities to directly impact the communities that we visit in a positive way. And on this particular day, our Make Travel Matter experience is the Dutch Cheese Trail. And what we do is it's kind of a volunteerism endeavor, which means that by visiting this particular cheesemaker, we're supporting the local commerce in the local community versus a big cheese. And I know that sounds kind of crazy, but the Netherlands, they really are a major world producer of cheese, and they make nearly 1 billion kilograms of cheese yearly. But nowadays, most of the cheese produced by the Netherlands is made industrially in factories, which necessarily eschews the more traditional process that make Dutch cheeses unique and have for many, many years. So we get to embark on a trip through the scenic countryside outside of Hoorn, and we take a visit to one of the country's last remaining authentic dairy farmers, where we get to see these Dutch cheese-making traditions being kept alive today. So it's a lot of fun, and we thought that you guys would like to hear a little bit about that Make Travel Matter experience. Day 8, this is one of my favorites. John has heard me talk at length about the Kukenhof Gardens. So if you're looking at this slide and you're thinking to yourself, this is what I've been waiting for, I can't wait to hear about the Kukenhof Gardens, and I want to make sure I see as much of the gardens as possible. You will want to choose the full day at Kukenhof Gardens. And if you choose the full day, you leave the ship in the morning. So you would miss the city of Harlem. If you're the type of person that wants a little bit of everything, you may choose to go to Harlem in the morning, at which point, or after which I should say, you're brought back to the ship for a bite of lunch, and you get a few moments to refresh yourself, and then you get to go to Kukenhof Gardens in the afternoon. So beginning with Harlem, this really is dubbed one of Europe's best kept secret destinations. Harlem is as quintessentially as Dutch as they come. You have a little leisurely walk around the city where you get to discover an abundance of Dutch charm, quaint streets, authentic windmills, and charming local hotspots. You don't go into the Tyler's Museum, but we walk you past it, and it is the oldest museum in the country. You'll also visit the St. Balbo's Church if you didn't do it previously, and this is the home of the famous Christian Mueller organ. And this organ is famous, if you don't know, because Mozart actually played this massive organ himself on a trip to Harlem when he was just 10 years old. You finish out your tour of Harlem where you go to the Vleeshal, which means the meat hall, and it was the only place from 1600 to 1800 where you could get fresh meat in the city of Harlem. So that's just a little bit about Harlem. I've been there, it's gorgeous. I definitely recommend giving it a look-see if you're not doing the full day at Kukenhof. Once you do head to Kukenhof, whether you've chosen to be there all day or the half day, you will be amazed. Rivers of blue hyacinth curve through the trees in great drifts of brilliantly hued tulips and daffodils that are carpeting Kukenhof's 70+ acres of grounds. It's probably the most spectacular flower garden in the world. It's only open a few weeks each spring. If I'm not mistaken, it's only open for 6 weeks each spring. So the gardeners plant over 7 million tulip bulbs on these grounds. And it really is a showcase for the Netherlands' legendary flower industry. So there's more to see than just flowers, of course. There are very intriguing exhibits in the pavilions. There's a very large expo at the very center. There's a gift shop. There's multiple coffee shops. And note that if you choose the full day at Kukenhof, you do not get lunch back on board the ship. And that's because there are food carts available at Kukenhof. Waffles, fries, you've got sausage, and quite a few other local delicacies available for purchase. And like I said, there's also a coffee shop, and that's in addition to the expo hall where you can purchase floral themed artwork, and the gift shop where you can even purchase tulip bulbs to send home. Now, just note, Uniworld doesn't have a shipment center on board the ship. We could definitely assist you with finding a local shipping and receiving company or courier service if you would like. But definitely, if you're thinking about purchasing bulbs from Kukenhof, make sure that the vendor from which you purchase them at the gardens provides the necessary documentation to import those bulbs or whichever plants you purchase into the US soil. It's just a little bit different country to country, and they have kind of a little insert that they'll give you that you can put into your bag that gives you those instructions. So again, make sure you get that documentation if you're buying bulbs, and lunch not included if you choose the full day at Kukenhof. So day 9, we get to Amsterdam, and you've got a couple choices today. John's going to talk you through the morning at the Masters. After that, that's the only choice in the morning. After that, you have a choice of 2 different options: Canal cruise or a walk in the footsteps of Rembrandt. You can guess what I would choose. Again, I love being on the water. I would be on the Amsterdam Canal cruise, and in fact, I have done it before. And it is called the Venice of the North for a reason. These canals crisscross through the heart of the old city, and there's bridges that link 90 different islands that make up Amsterdam. It's just mind-boggling to think about. But if you are an art aficionado, you would want to choose the walk in the footsteps of Rembrandt. And I'll leave it to John to tell you about the morning of the Masters.
Well, thank you, Ashley. I spoke earlier about the exclusive events that we like to include on our signature groups. And the Hermitage Museum, and most times when people think of Hermitage, they think of St. Petersburg. And this is actually a branch of the famed Hermitage in St. Petersburg. And the museum will be opening up early the morning we visit it, just for our group. So the only people allowed in will be the people from our. So it's a way to go through and see, the works of the Dutch masters. It's an extraordinary collection in a kind of crowd-free environment. Not listed here. But while we're on, one of the reasons we picked 2022 for this signature group is the Floriade Expo 2022 will be going on while we're in Holland. The Floriade is a World's Fair of horticulture. So it's just a bloom with fragrant flowers and greenery from all over the globe. We do know, and I'll talk more about pre and post excursions a little bit later, but we do know some people are planning on doing a post to take it in for a day or longer. But we will add an afternoon excursion to Floriade for those people that want to visit the expo, but don't look to stay additional days in Amsterdam. So we will actually end up with 3 choices in the afternoon. And the Floriade visit is going to be another exclusive because Uniworld doesn't offer it on their other Tulips and Windmill cruises, but we certainly thought at least some percentage of the members on board would want to see Floriade or attend Floriade. So we will add that as an excursion option as well.
Oh, so exciting, John. This is the first time hearing of it. This is so exciting. This is an exclusive, everyone.
There you go. Well, I got to keep surprises from you. Anyway, tonight is last night on board, so we will have a farewell reception. The ship overnights in Amsterdam. So after our farewell reception and our farewell gala dinner, you're welcome to stay on board the ship once again and converse with your friends, old and new. It may be the last time you see them, although you'll probably see most people the next day at breakfast and on board. Of course, Amsterdam is a unique experience in the evening. For those of you who haven't done it before, a lot of times people like to get out and see the city at night. So that's an option as well. So that's kind of the conclusion of the cruise. We get into the final day, which is the day we disembark. And we mentioned earlier, we talked about, the experience boarding the ship. you're still on the ship, so we still want you to feel as though you're on vacation. So you get up in the morning, you have breakfast, and then there's no rush to push you off the ship. I know a lot of times people have afternoon flights, so if you have a flight in the afternoon, they'll watch your luggage for you. You can get out. The ship docks right in Amsterdam, so if you have any souvenir shopping you need to do that you haven't got done yet, you can hop off. You can do that. You can relax in the lounge. You are still on the cruise, so your unlimited beverage package continues. So you can relax in the lounge. Or if you're still on board, depending on what time your flight is, you're welcome to join for lunch if you're on board. So there's no, getting off the ship at the crack of dawn, going to the airport and spending hours sitting at the hotel waiting for your ship to depart. It is a very leisurely end to your cruise. Also want to mention, for those of you that do need or want an early morning flight or departure, the ship overnight, so you can leave as early as you want. I know on these signature groups or Uniworld cruises in the past, we've had people that wanted to disembark at 4 a.m. We actually had somebody ask about that. They had a 7 a.m. flight for the Danube holiday markets. So you can get that transfer back to the hotel whenever you'd like. So whichever works best for you. I do want to mention pre and posts. I know a lot of times, the flight to Europe is a long flight, and it's going to be the least enjoyable part of your entire vacation. And we found from experience that most people are going to want to extend their cruise. Now, it may be just a day or two pre in Antwerp or a post in Amsterdam. For those flower aficionados, Floriade is a once-in-a-decade event. So Floriade doesn't roll around again until 2032. So certainly might be worth an extra day or two in Amsterdam if that's something you'd like to experience. But a lot of times we have people that will take an entire separate cruise or even a land tour because since they're all the way over there, and so you fly over, and then when either before or after this cruise, let's say that you want to do a tour or another cruise, ocean or river, that's completely possible. We are here to help you in any way we can. So whatever you'd like to do, I mentioned before, we can help with air, we can help with pre and post. Just let us know. We want to design this trip so that you have as much enjoyment as you possibly can. So one more thing I wanted to add real quick, and I just wanted to touch on it again as we went through this, is we're going to send you a copy of this presentation, and you can see this information on the website. Please, if you have friends or family that want to go, feel free to invite them as well. We had 180 people on this presentation, and if we kind of scroll to the next screen, Ashley, this is a deck plan of the ship. There are 65 staterooms in total available for this cruise. The red stop signs indicate the 5 staterooms that have already been purchased. And I mentioned earlier, the booking procedure for this is we're asking you to fill out a booking form. So if you're the first person today to fill out a booking form and you send it in, Mike or someone on our staff will give you a call and say, which cabin would you like? And you have first choice of the remaining 60 staterooms, and then on down the list. So there is some benefit to the quicker you sign up because you have more of a choice. Now, 60 staterooms sounds like a lot, but there's 180 people on this call. So while we know from experience all 180 won't sign up, some people will bring friends and those types of things. So we certainly want everyone who wants to go to be able to go. When we did the first signature group, that was Paris and Normandy, in June of 2019, the first sailing sold out in a week. In fact, we announced it on a Friday, and on that Monday, I contacted Uniworld and said, we're going to need a second ship. So we actually booked a second sailing of the exact same itinerary, and that one also sold out. That one took a few weeks. I think it might have even been a month before we sold the final cabin. And then we went back to Uniworld and said, we need a third sailing because there's 390,000 MOAA members. So if everybody wants to go, we'd need to book the whole fleet. So, but it was unavailable. So we just had the 2 departures going. Unfortunately, on this cruise, on this itinerary, it is a very time-specific departure. We are going while the tulips are in bloom, and while a lot of the other events are occurring. So we will not be able to get a second departure on this. I just want to mention that because I know a number of people that are on today also went on the second Paris and Normandy cruise. So just because in the past you were able to wait and still go, that won't be the case in this instance. So anyway, this is once again, this is the River Duchess. This is the floor plan of the ship. As we kind of get into the pricing and accommodations, I wanted to mention that one of the hallmarks of our signature cruises is that everything is included. So the cruise price includes airport transfers, all the shore excursions we've talked about, gratuities for both the onboard staff and the excursion staff. There's free Wi-Fi, the unlimited beverage package we've talked about, onboard attainment, and more. Basically, the concept is once you arrive at the ship, everything is included. You do not have to spend another penny if you don't want to. Now, there are some things that aren't included. The prices listed do not include port charges, as indicated, of $200 per person, or $250 rather, per person, or airfare. And trip insurance is optional, but something we highly recommend. Now, a couple of things on this. It's easier to talk about what's not included than to go through what's included, because almost everything is included. On the unlimited beverage package, that includes beer, wine by the glass, cocktails, and premium spirits. There are some ultra premium brands not included. So while Johnny Walker Red or Johnny Walker Black are free, if you want Johnny Walker Blue, that's an additional cost. So when you get on board, you will see some ultra premium beverages, and those are typically the ones, as you can imagine, that are $1,500 a shot. There is wine by the bottle for sale. Let's say you have a special occasion you want to celebrate. You want to get a bottle of champagne or a really nice bottle of wine, those are available. You, of course, are going to be in Belgium and Holland. If you want to try something local, you're more than welcome to purchase a bottle of wine in any of the ports and bring it on board and enjoy it at dinner. Share it with your table mates, and you'll be the most popular person at your table that evening. There is laundry services available on board. There is an additional fee for those unless you are a past guest. There is an amenity package for past Uniworld travelers. I know a lot of people went with some previous signature groups, and that's actually at the time you sail. So let's say someone is going on the European holiday markets in December, and it's your first time cruising, you will get the past passenger benefits when you sail with us on the Tulip cruise. Or if the Tulip cruise is your first cruise, then you get the past passenger benefits when you go on the Portugal excursion. In addition to the bottled wine and premium spirits, there are also some premium shore excursions that are available. These typically are limited. Information of those will be available when you board the ship, that are available if you'd like to go on them. So there are shore excursions that are available that we didn't cover today that are available for a fee. There's also a gift shop on board. So there's always a place to spend money. I mentioned this in the last webinar as well. The last cruise I went on, I went with my daughter for her 16th birthday. We didn't get any premium spirits, and we didn't do any of the premium shore excursions. So we have an onboard credit of $150 per person. And that's not only on our signature groups, that's on every Uniworld cruise that a MOAA member purchases. And that's extended to your friends and family, your guests as well. So if you're ever on the Uniworld website, any cruise you see as a MOAA member, you will get a $300 per stateroom onboard credit. So what I was going to say, kind of jump back, but when we were on our cruise, since we didn't use that onboard credit for any of the premium options, we bought my daughter, or she picked out some $300 earrings that were on the at the gift shop. Because there's,
Next time I'll take the $300 earrings, John. Sign me up for that.
Yeah, there you go. But we talk about having everything included, and that's why I always like to mention the $150 or more credit. So even with everything included, we give you $300 to cover, let's say, a bottle of wine one evening and one of the premium excursions. So you should be able to go on this cruise with basically not spending hardly anything out of your pocket. So I think with that, I mean, we might as well, I see you've already jumped to the slide. So we'll talk about the French balcony. 4 categories of rooms that are available on this ship. I like to start with the French balcony room because I'm not sure everybody knows what the term French balcony means. So it's actually a balcony, and this picture is great for showing it. It's a balcony that you don't actually step out onto, that you might be more used to if you stayed at a hotel or been on an ocean cruise liner that has a balcony. So actually those sliding glass doors open, and there's a little bit of room. We like to say, actually, and I joked about this on the last one, depending on your shoe size, you can actually step out on that balcony. It's about 8 or 9 inches. So there's a little bit of room there, but the concept is that you open those sliding glass doors and your entire room becomes your balcony. And you can see the table and chairs that are sitting there. So you can have, you know, the 24-hour room service will bring you coffee. So in the morning, if you're looking to have an early start, you can just have some Danishes and coffees brought to your room, and you can open those sliding glass doors and your entire room becomes your balcony stateroom. If we go to the next slide, this is a suite. It's basically the same as a French balcony room in the fact that it also has a French balcony. The room is about 50% larger, so you have more space, and important to a lot of people is it has a lot more closet space as well, larger bathroom. Obviously 54% more space gives you more room. Probably the biggest benefit, in my opinion, of the suites is the fact that the suites have butler service. And that is just such a luxury. If you've never been on a cruise before with butler experience, it's something you've got to try at least one time. I remember the first cruise we did was Paris and Normandy, and I was asked the question, you know, what do you use the butlers for? And basically, you use the butlers for everything. If you pick up the phone in your room and you're in a suite, you actually call your butler. When you see them running around the ship, you'll see that they have phones or walkie-talkies attached to their belt, so they are available basically anytime. If they're unavailable, they have another one of the butlers covering their area. And as I said, they're there to do anything you'd like. I mean, we have countless butler stories. Somebody once came back on board and bought a bottle of wine, and they decided they wanted 2 bottles because they were going to join, I think, 3 or 4 other couples for dinner. So they called their butler, and the butler hopped off the ship, ran to the convenience store, and got a second bottle for them. They're the ones that will bring you your room service if you call for room service. So they'll keep your cabin stocked. I mean, it is an absolute treat to have. So something you might consider for this or a future cruise. There are 2 other cabin categories. Their ocean view is kind of the term most people knew, or outside. However, in this case, we call them river view rooms. This is the deluxe room. The suites and the French balconies are on deck 4. If you go 1 deck down to deck 3, you get to the deluxe rooms. You can see kind of off to the left, they have picture windows in them. The deluxe rooms are the same size as the French balcony rooms. The only difference is they have picture windows instead of the sliding glass doors. And then if you go down 1 more deck, there are the classic rooms. The classic rooms only have partial windows. They don't have the full picture window, and they are on deck 2. That's the lowest of the public access decks. The bottom deck, deck 1, is where the staff do sleep on board. We've been asked that question before. So those are the 4 rooms that are available. So if you have any questions, we'll get to that in just a second. Be sure and let us know. If you know what room you want, fill out that booking form and send it to us so we can get started on helping you select the cabin that you'd like. Before we start the Q&A, I wanted to take just a moment and talk about the onboard safety protocols. The safety of members is MOAA's primary concern. So rest assured, every precaution is being taken. This includes screening for both passengers and crew, a new UV fresh air ventilation system, and constant cleaning and disinfecting on board. Now, we are still over a year away until this cruise departs. Actually, I think a year and 6 days to be exact. And we know that these safety and COVID protocols are going to change. Uniworld is expected to start sailing in May. I think mid-May is when they're going to start. I don't know if people saw the news. I think it was Monday. Greece announced that they were opening up to U.S. travelers. And the next country that we are looking to have open up would be Portugal. Right now, Uniworld, you didn't hear it from me, but Uniworld is planning to resume Portugal cruises mid-May. I was going to mention as well, for those who didn't know, Iceland opened up, and they actually opened up back in March. So Europe is opening up to U.S. travel. The current safety protocol when they resume sailing in May is going to be that they're going to require people to either be vaccinated. And we know from the cruises we're doing in 2021, basically across the board, including the 2 signature groups for Mississippi River and Holiday Markets, most MOAA members are already vaccinated. However, when Uniworld resumes sailing, they will accept either a negative COVID test or vaccination. Now, that's right now. What they're going to be doing a year from now, we don't know. What we have seen and what the anticipation is as the virus disappears from every day, as more and more people are vaccinated, we have the herd immunity, whatever else, that those requirements will be lessened. But for right now, what we can address is what the current safety protocols are, and that's either vaccination or a negative test. The safety protocols are listed online if you'd like to go in and see them. And then the last thing I had before we get into Q&A is I just wanted to make sure and invite everyone to join us on a signature group. If for some reason you can't make Tulip, we'd certainly love to see you on the Mississippi River or Holiday Markets or Portugal next year. And of course, you are not limited to just one of the signature groups. We have people that are signing up for them on a year-to-year basis, and we'd love to see the people that have joined us in the past join us again. So with that being said, I would like to welcome Kristin Stotz, who's the Senior Manager of Business Development at MOAA headquarters in Alexandria, to join us. Kristin is going to be helping us with the Q&A. So Kristin, do you have a first question for us?
I do. We don't have many questions right now, so if you do have questions, please just enter them into the questions tab and we'll be able to get them answered here for you. The first one is about dietary restrictions. Are you able to accommodate a plant-based diet, specifically no meat or dairy?
You want me to answer that?
I can take it. You can. Okay, thank you. Yes, great question. Uniworld has a traveling light menu on board every one of the ships in our fleet. We can accommodate many dietary restrictions, whether you're plant-based, vegan, paleo, if you're just looking to keep the calorie count low. The traveling light menu does typically skew towards a carb-free, so you might find a salmon and a vegetable or a chicken and a vegetable, but we can modify any of the meals that we have, whether it's on our regular menu for the evening or the traveling light menu. We're very well skilled in accommodating many, many different dietary restrictions. So I would just advise you to make sure you let MOAA know when you're booking, and when you fill out that booking request form, just include that in the notes there so that John and Mike and his team at MOAA Vacations can make note of that on your booking with Uniworld. When you get on board the ship, you make mention of it upon check-in. They'll even, doubly and triply ensure that the chef has been alerted. And if you're very cautious, or if you're someone who has celiac and actually has allergens that can really cause damage to your health if not looked at properly, you can request a meeting with the restaurant manager as well once you're on board, just to have those additional assurances that your dietary needs will be addressed.
Yeah, I would just say that on my experience being on Uniworld, just ask your waiter for whatever you want. I'm always one of those people. I mean, just because it's not on the menu doesn't mean they can't make it. On the cruise I took my daughter on, I know I mentioned it earlier, we went on a specific cruise. They actually have cruises that are geared towards family. And one night, we went to dinner, and when they asked us what we wanted for appetizer, my daughter, who I think was 14 at the time, wanted French fries. And I swear by day 3, every table in that place that had kids, which was the most of them, were getting French fries when they sat down in the restaurant. So they're extremely accommodating, not just on dietary restrictions, which I know what the question was, but on anything. I mean, you're on vacation. I can't stress this enough, is if French fries or whatever it is what's going to make your dinner more enjoyable, then absolutely let us know or let Uniworld know, and we'll make sure that's taken care of.
Thanks, John. I know you mentioned that the protocols will be changing, obviously, as the pandemic progresses, but can you address what the current dining room restrictions are right now on Uniworld cruises?
Ashley?
Well, we're not sailing right now, so currently we don't have any restrictions because we're not yet sailing. We do hope to sail in the latter parts of May. And right now what we're looking at doing is modifying the buffet service that we have at breakfast at lunch. So the buffets will still be there, but what we're looking at doing is perhaps having menus placed on each table. And so what you would do is you would have a menu that lists all the items that are located on the buffet, and your server will ask you which buffet items you would like to be plated and served. And then that server will bring it to you table side. We do have sneeze guards, of course, atop every single buffet shaper, and those have been recently replaced. And this way it will just limit the number of persons that are interacting with the buffet at any given time. And again, that's for breakfast and lunch. Dinners are always plated. And there has been some talk about perhaps adding a second dinner seating. So normally on Uniworld cruises, we have just one dinner seating. We have enough seats for everybody on board the ship, but there has been talk about perhaps adding a second dinner seating, and that way that would allow our valued guests to be able to practice safe social distancing should they so choose. But again, as we're not sailing just yet, I haven't heard any announcements on that secondary dinner seating just yet, but those will come very soon.
Thank you, Ashley. Do you offer cruises for solo travelers?
I can address that. We are working with the surviving spouses to do a roommate share or a single share program. So there is a 200% single supplement. I know this was asked, I think, in every webinar that we've done so far. So if you are a single who's looking to travel, let us know, and we would certainly do everything we could to find a roommate for you on the sailing.
Thank you. Are there any opportunities to visit 20th century battlefields that you mentioned in the introduction?
Yes, those do occur during the cruise, whether you're taking the biking or the regular walking tour excursions, those are available. You can't see my PowerPoint, but John has seen it, and at each slide, the notes that I have are literally this long on each of those days' excursions. So today we were just able to provide you with a snippet, an overview, if you will, of each of the days' excursions. But if you have questions about the specific excursions and what you will see on each and every individual day, which sites and the locations of which, John and the team at MOAA Vacations, they have a copy of the notes, and they know everything there is to know about the itinerary and all the day-to-day excursion details. So please feel free to reach out to them if you have individual questions.
Yeah, and just to add on to that, if you have any suggestions of what we could do. As I mentioned, one of the great things about chartering a ship is we have control of everything involved in the cruise. So, for example, when we did the holiday markets, there was a lot of people that were interested in Nuremberg, which is where the holiday markets started. So we actually put together a historic World War II Nuremberg tour, which is one of the options that kind of for the people that don't want to go to a holiday market that day in Nuremberg. So sort of when we looked at this itinerary, we looked at including Floriade. If there was something in particular that was of interest to the members, we can certainly go to Uniworld and make adjustments to an excursion to include something that would be of interest to a lot of the members. So we're always looking for suggestions. I know I mentioned earlier the tour of Germany, which includes Oktoberfest in Munich, the opening of Oktoberfest in the Passion Play in Oberammergau, and that entire itinerary was customized. So it's an itinerary you wouldn't find in any tour company's brochure to highlight the areas that we thought MOAA members would want to go. So if somebody has a suggestion, feel free to share it with us. And if it can be, if a tour can be amended or altered to include it, we'd certainly include it.
Do rooms have twin beds?
The rooms they can convert to either a twin or a queen. So they're convertible.
Okay,
So
and I think the last question we have right now is, can you repeat the dates of the cruise again?
Ashley? April 26th to May 5th, right?
Yeah, do you want me to go back to the original slide?
No, it's all right. It's April 26th, May 5th of 2022. So anyway, as we're winding up, I just wanted to let everybody know when the webinar ends or when you log out, you are going to receive a survey. We'd ask you to take just a minute to complete that survey. I think there's just 3 questions. It's real short, but as I mentioned, we've done a series of these, or we're in the middle of a series of these, and that we'd certainly love your feedback. Put these together for your benefit. So any comments you'd have would be appreciated. With that, did you have anything, or should we just tell everybody goodbye?
You know, I did see that someone was asking if there was a handout. I know during our last webinar, the European holiday markets, we did have a handout that we included here in the webinar. I just wanted to check in with you, John, if that was something that was being prepared for the Tulips and Windmills as well.
If anybody wants a 1-page flyer, just drop us an email or give us a call. We're more than happy to send you one. I know we had somebody ask that on the last one. We probably should have gone ahead and done that. We do have a website up where all the information is on it. And in a 1-page flyer, we're obviously not able to put, you know, I don't know what total pages would be, probably 10 or 11. I know we printed it off and mailed it to people before, the entire website. So it's too much information to put on a 1-page flyer. We could kind of do a quick overview. But for all the information, the day-to-day, the deck plan, the descriptions of all the different staterooms that are on board, there's a page that just goes through all the inclusions, kind of through step-by-step everything that's included on the cruise. It's all the terms and conditions. It ends up being a lot of information and something that doesn't really lend itself towards one page. But if it was something somebody wanted to maybe send out to other people to invite them, we could put just together a real quick 1-page overview, which would kind of just be the itinerary, the pricing, and the real quick list of the inclusions. So yeah, more than happy to do that. And I'm more than happy to do that. I'm more than happy to ask somebody else to do it. So
I have a flyer I can send you, John. We do have another question about Oberammergau, if you want to just reiterate a little bit about that.
What's the question on Oberammergau?
Do you have a cruise or tickets to Oberammergau next year?
We have a tour of Germany that includes the Passion Play in Oberammergau and includes, as I mentioned before, Oktoberfest in Munich. There are cruises. In fact, Uniworld has river cruises that include Oberammergau. Uniworld, the Velvet Collection, is actually 5 brands: Red Carnation Hotel, Insight Vacations, and Insight's the company that we use for our tour of Germany. Uniworld, of course, Africa Travel, and Luxury Gold are the 5 brands that make up the Velvet Collection. So even in Ashley's kind of realm of expertise, we have both land tours and cruises that would include Oberammergau for next year. And of course, if you contact MOAA Vacations, we work with all of the cruise lines and all the tour companies, so we could find really whatever you're looking for. We don't have a signature group set up for Oberammergau. We do have the tours. We actually have 2 of them next year. One's a signature group and one's just a group for Oberammergau next year. So as always, call us, email us. We're here. We want to be your travel agency. And we certainly hope you'll give us a chance. So with that being said, Ashley, Kristin, any more questions or should we let people go?
That's it.
That's it. All right. Once again, thanks everybody. Please take a minute, fill out the survey, and hopefully we see you in a couple of weeks when we'll talk about the Douro River Valley. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.
My hand just closed.